Welcome to Spenelli Speaks. That subscribe. I hope you've hit that subscribe. I'm Danny, and if you've been here before, I hope you've taken the time to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you're new, well, I hope you've done it as well. I have videos and content on all aspects of my life, mostly regarding books. I do try to branch out a little bit and jump into the kitchen for y'all, but most of the time I'm simply talking about books, which is why I'm here on BookTube. Today I wanted to give you a review of the latest Christmas book that I am reading. As you can see, I am currently surrounded by Christmas. It is the 20th of December. I'm going to be posting this today, so you'll get it soon. And I haven't wrapped a single gift, so I need to get on the ball right away. I took off work today to get my house in order for my incoming guests this next week, as it is Christmas. So I am very behind. I have a few things to get done, but I will do that later. I wanted to get you a review and show you a few of the gifts that I am giving that are books. So if you've seen my last videos, know that I was reading Debbie Macomber's Dashing Through the Snow. And previous to that, I read her Alaskan Holiday and 12 Days of Christmas. I have been reading all of the books that my mother has been giving me over the years that are Christmas books, because I had never really gotten to them in years past, because, you know, when you get a book at Christmas, there's not much left of the season, and sometimes you're kind of over Christmas at that point. So I really wanted to dedicate this month to all of those books, and many of which are from Debbie Macomber, one of my favorite authors. I actually have seen her speak and really enjoyed her. So I have recently read Dashing Through the Snow, and unfortunately I rated it pretty low. I gave it a 2 on Goodreads, and the reason being, I feel like it was one of the most unrealistic plots that she's written. I had a really hard time getting through this book because I just felt like it was so ridiculous. So this book, it follows two characters, Dash and Ashley, and we meet them at the San Francisco airport, and they're trying to get to Seattle. Dash is trying to get to Seattle for a job interview, and Ashley is trying to get to Seattle to be home for Christmas with her mother. So they're not able to get a plane, which is fine. They ended up renting a car, and because every single car was rented out, they end up sharing a vehicle. And we find out that Ashley can't rent the car because she's under 25, which that in and of itself, too, I think weighed on me while I was reading the book, because I kept thinking, well, is this because she's so young? I mean, she's 10 years younger than I am, so I didn't know if I was kind of if I was judging her for being so young and naive, I guess. And so they're driving to Seattle, and in the background, unbeknownst to them, the FBI is on their tail because Ashley's came up on the no-fly list, and they think that she's somebody else or something. It's so ridiculous. First of all, if you're on the no-fly list and you are a person of interest with the FBI, they are going to be, without without a shadow of a doubt sure that you are the person they're actually looking for. They're not going to do a huge manhunt with helicopters, multiple FBI vehicles, all this stuff to follow you from San Francisco to Seattle. And then detain you and question you and your person who they believe to be a hostage at this point. It was just, I mean, clearly I'm having a hard time even talking about this book. Maybe it's just me. I do not like when something does not make sense. And that is a lot of me. And I understand that. A lot of people are like, oh, you're supposed to just enjoy it because it's a Christmas book. Or, oh, you're just supposed to enjoy it because it's a TV show. If it does not make sense, realistically, I don't want to watch it or read it anymore. I gave it a 2. And the reason why I gave it a 2 and not a 1 is I only give 1 to a book that I hate. A book that I would never recommend, that I would never want to look at again. And I wouldn't say that about this book. And I wouldn't say that about Debbie's writing style. I think she does a nice job with writing, and I think the writing style was good in here. I just think that the plot was so ridiculous. And for me too, through the whole thing, you know, in these kind of books, the characters are getting to know each other and they're falling in love. But the way that these two were, it was so juvenile. Like, they kept saying stuff like, oh, you know you're falling for me. Oh, you know you like me. Oh, it was so ridiculous. I think that was what was aiding to my annoyance with her age, because I kept thinking, well, is this because she's younger? Because Dash, we haven't really learned an age for, but I feel like he was older because he seemed more mature. And I couldn't. I was like, this is so ridiculous. And then, you know, trying not to spoil everything for you in case you do want to read this book, but ultimately, in the end, he like drops everything to pursue a relationship with her. They've known each other for like 2 days. Again, I just don't feel like it's realistic. So I gave it a 2, guys. Sorry that it's so negative today with the reviews, but or the review. And then to get my goat on this, it was made into a movie. This was considered so good that they made it into a movie. I mean, on the Hallmark Channel. But still, my guess, guys, is the movie is probably better. I was so hoping at the end that she was who the FBI thought she was, and then it would be like, ooh, just jab you in there with a surprise, but it didn't happen. It was just mixed identities. So I gave this one a 2. Anywho, I have 2 extra surprises for you. So in my Christmas shopping, I tried to make sure that we did limited gifts this year. You know, the Christmas season is not about getting gifts and all of that. It's better to give and to receive, and I know that sometimes involves gifts, but the true meaning of the season is to spend time with your family and just enjoy one another and reminisce and eat good food and all that. So I tried to really do limited gifts this year because, you know, we have a lot going on this coming year with the wedding, and my brother moved to Germany, so we want to visit them as well. So really trying to budget and really trying to be, you know, good about what we're doing with our money, and also remembering that it's not about the gifts that you get at Christmas, it's about the people that you're with. So that little rant aside, so I tried to stick to the 4 rule, which was, you know, something you want, something you need, something you wear, and something you read. So with the something you read, I did get a book for each my fiance and soon-to-be stepdaughter. And I will be wrapping those soon, sometime today. So for my fiance, he really enjoyed the book called Cash Crash Jubilee. It's the first book in a series by Eli K.P. William. And so I actually bought him the second book, which is The Naked World. So it's the second in the series of the Jubilee cycle. And I won't tell you what this one's about because I don't want it to lead too much out of what the first one is, but I'll read you the information on the first book. So again, the first book was called Cash Crash Jubilee, and it is a cyber dystopian thriller. So this would along the same lines, but for the first book it said, in the near future Tokyo, every action from blinking to sexual intercourse is intellectual property owned by corporations that charge licensing fees. A body bank computer system implanted into each citizen records their movements from moment to moment and connects them to an audio-visual overlay of the Imanet, so that every inch of this cyber dystopian metropolis crawls with information and shifting cinematic promotainment. So what my fiance explained to me is everyone in this world has a chip in them, essentially. And whatever they see, whatever they do, they're like being charged. It's costing them money. And I know I've seen a couple of different like movies that have been kind of based on this similar kind of concept of like having some implant in you, and it costs you either time, it costs you your life. This one particularly is costs monetarily. But he really enjoyed the first book, and it was funny because so he read the first book, and I'm not quite sure how he even found it. I think maybe we went to Half Price Books one day, and he found the book, and then last Christmas, I was like, ooh, I'm going to get him the second book so that he has that because he just started this book, so he'll want to have the second book. This book didn't even come out like until the next August or something. It was like, oh my gosh, it's not even out. And here I'm like looking for it. I'm going to all these used bookstores. I'm like, I have to find this book, and me not thinking to like look it up. So finally I asked at one of our used bookstores in town where it's more of an independent shop, and they're like, that book isn't being released for another like 2 months. And I was like, oh, that would make sense. And then they're like, do you want to pre-order? It'd be like $30. And I was like, no, my friend, I will wait until I can get a used copy for like $10. So that's what I did this year. So I just went onto Amazon and I found it because I did my traditional looking. I went to Half Price Books. I went to the bookstore, but seeing as it is a newer release, and it's not even in paperback yet, which I wasn't looking for paperback because I'm one of those people that if I have one in hardcover, I have to have them all in hardcover. So I bought this off of Amazon, and I think it was only like $9.99. So I was happy with that, and because of Prime, there was no shipping. So I felt good about that. That purchase. So this will be for him, and I read the inside leaf, and it didn't make any sense to me because I haven't read any of it, but seeing this synopsis here, and then along with what I read there, I think that it'll be quite exciting. So he'll be excited for that. Let me know if you as a reader have read this cycle of books and what your thoughts were, and I can always share that with my fiance and see if he has similar views. So that was the first book that I had bought for him. And then for my stepdaughter, she is turning 13 in January, so she is going to be a teenager. And she is a good reader, thanks to me. You're welcome. I got her really into reading a couple years ago in one summer when she had nothing to do. Took her to the library like every single day. At the time I was unemployed, so I could do that, and really just got her into reading, and she was like reading a book a day and all that kind of thing, so I was really happy with that. And most recently in the last year, I'd say she's getting more into young adult novels because now, you know, she's a middle schooler, so she has, you know, more thoughts and whatever. So, and, you know, I'm really surprised on the books that they have at middle school grade. I think, what do they call it now? Junior high or whatever. I don't really approve of a lot of the books that they have at the library there, but to each their own, I guess, and I can't protect her from everything. So, but anywho, she really enjoys series. She really enjoys fantasy novels. She loves anything that has any kind of witchcraft or magic of any kind, and she's kind of actually really getting into more books that have people with superpowers. So not necessarily magic in a sense of witches, but she's getting into more books with superheroes in them. So I kind of did some research on young adult books that have more of that in them. I had read this past year with my book club, Steelheart, which was a Brandon Sanderson book, which I really loved, and she read that and she really liked that. So I'm going to see about getting her the other two in that book cycle as well. But for her for Christmas, I did find Renegades by Marissa Meyer, and from what I understood, I believe I was at Target, and I believe the title was Supernova, but that's like the third or fourth book in the series, so I had to look to see what the first one was, and that was this here in Renegades, and let's just see what it's about. It says, secret identities, extraordinary powers. She wants vengeance. He wants justice. The Renegades are a syndicate of prodigies, humans with extraordinary abilities who emerge from the ruins of a crumbled society and establish peace and order where chaos reigned. As champions of justice, they remain a symbol of hope and courage to everyone, except the villains they once overthrew. Nova has a reason to hate the Renegades. She is on a mission for vengeance. As she gets closer to her target, she meets Adrian, a renegade boy who believes in justice and in Nova. But Nova's allegiance to a villain who has the power to end them both. Huh. This kind of sounds very similar to Steelheart, to Brandon Sanderson's Steelheart. I might have to borrow this from her room someday and see how I like it. It's a pretty hefty book, and that's another thing she really likes. As a child, and I remember this from when I was a kid too, the bigger the book, the more pride you have in yourself of reading it. So whenever she is looking for books, it's so funny. She will look for the thickest book she can find, and then she'll look at the cover and see if it's something that she wants to read. So I was pretty happy when I opened the Amazon box and this was what was in it. So that was really cool. I also am interested. I know I've seen all of these books. So Marissa Meyer has Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Winter, if I can read here, Stars Above, and Fairest, which I've seen those books multiple times at the used bookstores, and I've just never really picked them up for myself, that is. But I keep seeing them, and I'm wondering if maybe I should pick them up and see what they're all about. I know I've seen the Cinder book a million times out there, so I might have to get into that because I do like fairy tales. I do like when they kind of revamp them and make them more modern day, so I think I might actually get into that. That would be cool. Anywho, so I got Renegades for her. And then for myself, I don't have it yet. I just ordered it on Amazon, but I have a viewer out there who suggested that I read one of these cozy mysteries, and I believe, I'm going to forget the name now. I think it's T.E. Kinsey? But they're a Lady Hardcastle series, and it's, I believe, set in London, or not in London, but in England, and she's an older individual, and things happen, kind of like an Agatha Christie, I would believe, like a Miss Marple, which I love, and truth be told, I have never actually read any Miss Marples. I have watched like BBC series and all that kind of thing, and so in my head, it's like I've read them, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I have not read any of these. I've seen them. So I'm kind of excited for that. I looked at my library. They don't even have this. I think it's a Quiet Day in the Country or something like that. Or Quiet Place in the Country. It's the first of this Lady Hardcastle series. And I'm like, well, how do I get this? So I just had to order it off of Amazon. So hopefully I like it. If I don't, I'll gift it to somebody else. But I'm excited for that. So that'll be my Christmas gift for the to be read or out of the 4. So kind of lengthy video here, horrible review, and I'm sorry. I get really annoyed when books go south. But 2 books that are going to be gifts this Christmas. So excited about that. I know they'll love them. I'm pretty good at giving gifts, so I listen and I make sure that I get things that people actually want. So I'm excited for them to open those, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Like I said in the beginning, guys, if you've been here before, I hope you subscribe. If you're just joining me, I hope you enjoy what you see and that you want to see more. And the only way you can see more is if you hit that notification bell. So while you're there, subscribe. Anywho, bye guys. Happy reading.